Alright, hey guys, welcome back to Dormicom blog channel. I'm here with John from Wargame Painting and Solid Smurf, and we're here to talk a little bit about the game we just finished playing, kind of why we look so haggard based on the game we played, our first impressions, how they compare and contrast now that we finished what has to be the quickest $50 game that I think any of us have played. And that game, of course, is Aliens, Colonial Marines. And we're going to start with John from Wargame Painting. What's your thoughts, John?
5 hours. That's $10 an hour for that game.
And that's actually after we switched on to Ultimate Badass level, which you would think would actually cause enough complication in the game, enough challenge, that we'd get a little bit more of a run for our money. So I posted initial impressions, and that was quite literally after only playing for, I don't know, maybe the first hour. And even then, I think John and Smurf both thought that I gave the value rating a little too high. I originally said 7.5. If you were able to purchase it on day one at $38. So I want that caveat in there. And I said that the best this game could ever possibly get would be an 8.5, and that's if on day one you could buy it for $30, which I thought was probably the right purchase price for this game. But that, again, is just a first impression. I've since gone back and looked at all the footage around how the aliens were supposed to respond, react, images of like how the textures were supposed to look, how the environments were supposed to look. And after jumping my system up to the max quality level and still seeing a huge disparity, although much better, much closer to what they kind of promised in Ultimate Badass as compared to Hardened level, which wasn't all that. I'm kind of leading up to a question, but I'm kind of just interested in getting your guys' overall impressions so that people can get a sense. I'm going to be effectively the slight voice of temperament on the far end, which is perfectly seated. We got John, who I think is going to be Mr. Extreme, and Smurf, that's going to probably fall in between us in some way, shape, or form. So, John, before I give my final evaluation of this game, why don't we let you start off the discussion?
Okay. Well, I really gave it 2 ratings, I think, in my mind. I can separate myself from the first rating, which was just pure enjoyment playing a game with you guys, because that was a 10. I would have enjoyed nothing better.
Now, just to make sure that we're hearing this right, it's 10 out of what?
Out of 10.
Okay.
Now, detaching myself from the enjoyability of playing a game with you gentlemen, I would give it a 2 out of 100.
Wow.
No point in time would I ever recommend this game, let anybody play this game. If it was free, I would say don't even bother. If they added another 10 hours worth of...
Wow, his anger got so bad that he completely glitched. John, you're going to have to start with this. We heard the 2 out of 100 and that you would never buy it even if it was free to play.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. 2 out of 10. Never play it. Never recommend it. If it was free, I would never say even download it. It's not worth the space on your computer. If they add another...
Well, John, you got to back that up with just a little bit, or you know what? Stop right there. We'll let Smurf give his opinion, then I'll give my opinion, and then we'll go back and say why we're giving these evaluations. Smurf, you go.
Of my evaluation? Okay, on a game rating scale of did I enjoy the game? 9. I give it a strong 9, because perfect scores are hard to come by. I would even give it a 9.5. I mean, there were times when we were banging our head against the wall going, where do we go? But even then, it's you guys, so we make that fun. But as buying it at full price.
Which you did.
I'm not going to go harsh as a 2.
Which you did.
I'm not going to go that low.
I was out of 100, by the way.
Yeah. So it's really a 0.2.
2 out of 100.
So it's really a 0.2 on a 10-point scale.
This is hard. I would at least give it a 7. It's so hard because nowadays, if anything makes a 7, the game rating scale now, that's another rant, but I would easily give it a 7. If you don't have people you know you're playing with, wait for a Steam sale.
Okay, I'm right now trying to move us back and forth to get it closer to how we feel about these games, because I just can't do it. Anyways, so I really thought that Smurf was going to be in between me and John, and that's not true. Smurf is smart. Smurf is the lighthearted one here. Having finished the entire game, like John, and we were kind of talking about this a little bit, so I'm glad to see that he agreed that there is a separation in score that can be seen here based on how much fun did I have playing a game with these guys, okay? And the fact that it was a cooperative campaign and that we actually got to fight all on the same side, going for a goal, and watching their reaction to things that were so frustrating, like AI that would just literally stop and not let you get by, or would jump right in front of you firing some sort of really explosive weapon, and it would kill instantly both you and the AI. I have to say that my overall feeling still falls into, I only paid $38 and I give it a solid 7.5, and if I had paid $30 it would have been 8.5. But I do think that overall the game quality suffers, and I think unfortunately it suffers even greater because of what I was able to find online as to say this is what it was supposed to look like. These were how the aliens were supposed to move. And I think it drops down to maybe a 4 or 5 out of 10. And this is not to say that these guys weren't fun to play with. They were hella fun to play with. And if I dismiss some of the quirkiness where we're just like glitching this thing, literally everyone had to exit the game and come back in order for a door to open, which when then we were magically teleported beyond at least one other fight sequence that I saw online is supposed to happen. So I'm kind of like, if those glitches didn't happen, again, I would agree with John. I would have said a 10. I had a blast playing with these guys. It's just that the mood kept being stopped by things like having to restart or things where, like I said, you get into a level early on and someone would have, something that they were firing on your team, not the opponent firing at you, but your bot would get in the way, and all of a sudden, boom, you're dead, and you got to sit around and wait at the clock going, please, guys, rush to that next checkpoint. I want you to enjoy this game, but please, I'll enjoy screaming at you through the microphone and making you guys feel like there's way more aliens than there are, just to keep you guys' feet moving. Oh, you can't believe how much stuff is coming from behind you guys. Keep running! But again, so solid 8.5 and 4 to 5 for gameplay, and that's only because I think the wealth of games that I've played make me realize that there are worse games than Alien Colonial Marines. If I had played fewer games, I probably would have said, okay, yeah, probably 3 to a 4. I'm done with my rant. So now that I went ahead and gave my score and why I felt it was that score, John, go back to you and let's talk a little bit more about why you give it effectively a 0 out of 10.
Because magical Weyland-Yutani static teleportation technology.
All right. Well, there's so many things to complain about this game. All right. So we didn't play easy. We didn't play easy mode, right? Like any of us.
Right.
No, we started on normal, I believe.
Okay. So easy mode. I mean, I'm assuming that there's no enemies. It's just a walkthrough of the game. Because super badass was the only reason why it was frustrating was because things didn't work. We
and you
had to get through a door,
and you had no HUD, so like keeping track of how many bullets your gun had was a little trickier.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. I think
too.
that's the best aspect of the game.
Right.
But
Can I interject?
Go ahead.
I usually find that really annoying in games. I enjoyed it here. It made it suspenseful.
Right. It made it feel a little bit more like an Aliens game.
Yep, definitely. But there was a point where we were trying to get through this giant door, and we were probably looking around for the way out of this room for 20 minutes. Finally go to Google and find a walkthrough for it, and it says after we killed everything, the door should just open. So we ended up killing each other with explosive rounds.
Remember?
We all died.
I do believe
we were anticipating going back and having to beat the entire mission again, and instead it skips us over a cutscene and a fight sequence and just dumps us out in the middle of somewhere ahead of where we were in the game.
And we took
it twice.
We literally took a couple minutes going, did we end up back or forward from where we're at? Because we couldn't figure it out for a little while.
But that same scenario where we all died and we spawned where we should have been happened twice. Like it timed how long it took. Yeah, what it feels like is that the timer kept going, so the events of everything were still happening while we were running around trying to figure out what to do. And then when we died, we got ported to where we would be if we had just been running the entire time.
So we effectively lost
because we missed
20 minutes of the game.
Yeah, we missed huge chunks of the game. The AI is atrocious at best. Brian was saying that they would walk in front of you when you're shooting. That wasn't the worst part. The worst part is the aliens just go for human players. There's Smurf and Brian decided it would be fun to go skydiving through a hole in the ground and die. And so I was the only one that was left. And I was trying to get to a checkpoint to revive them. And a bunch of aliens spawned. There's 3 bots in front of me, and the aliens run past them and kill me.
We actually saw that. I might see if I can find that clip and show it to people. But to be fair, even though Smurf and I fell through a hole in the ground, which was kind of comedic to begin with, we were waiting on the bot to move past us and open the freaking door we had to go through for like 3 or 4 minutes, and the guy's just sitting there going, I got a big gun, doop-a-doo.
No, he's going like this. This is what he's doing. He has his gun.
No, and that's the other thing about it too, is that the cut sequences where there's narrative storytelling, it doesn't matter. It's not just the main character. It's not like we could random the main character and he would be listening to his earpiece. The cooperative campaign was geared towards a single player mentality. All of the cutscenes, we all share the same cutscene. Every time there was a narrative voice talk, everybody put their hand to their ear to listen to the guy talk, and everybody put their gun up. You can't touch anything. You can't pick items up. You can't open doors. You can't shoot.
But it didn't
stand there like this.
But it didn't stop enemy humans. It did seem to stop the aliens from advancing, but enemy humans could still fire at you. The worst part is there'd be times where one of us would be slightly more ahead than the others, and the cutscene would happen for all of us, which really shouldn't happen, so we were all where the front person was. And I remember I was running across a corridor that had a turret gun at one end that was shooting at us. And the second the cutscene happened, my guy stopped running, put his hand to his ear, and I barely moved across the hallway as I'm getting shot up, and then dead. And I'm like, what the hell just happened?
The other thing is that, like, in Left 4 Dead, you can find safe rooms and get your buddies back. Or, like, in Borderlands, you die and you respawn and you just have to run to get up to your group. This game, you're fucking dead until you hit a checkpoint. Like, you could die as soon as you walk out of a checkpoint, a sniper picks you off, and you're down for 20 minutes.
Right, because you
like,
can't, go back to that checkpoint and revive that person again, right?
Right.
And there's
You have
no
to
other
find the
easy
next
fix to
checkpoint.
this. There's an easy fix to this.
implement Borderlands 2.
Or you put in a like a resuscitator box. You know, it takes 3 seconds to clamp onto someone and another maybe 5 seconds to revive them, but it keeps people from doing it mid-fight and just poof, you're back in. So it gives that, oh no, we're a man down feel, but it allows you to bring someone back in mid-mission.
And maybe you have a limited number of these things.
Yeah.
You know.
Easy.
Anything's better than having one of your players down for 20 minutes. Like I said, the campaign is very single-player oriented. I don't think that they made the campaign for 3 people to sit down and play.
Well,
it feels like they wanted you to go through it by yourself.
They developed this over the course of 6 years. And John, I think you're making some really strong arguments for your point too. By the way, so let me stop right now. After saying it took them 6 years to develop this game, and some of the textures really feel like they're probably 4 years back. Like, had this game been released 4 years ago, I think even here's the other thing that makes me feel like it's a 4 or a 5. They've already talked about releasing a season pack to expand upon the game, but here's the reality. If you're already going to create 4 more expansion packs, he should have taken one of those expansion packs and just shoved it in the main game so you didn't play it through in 5 hours on Ultimate Badass mode. You know, let's get to 10 hours worth of gameplay. That would be nice. And they say that the or a lot of people will say, well, but they include multiplayer. We collectively, okay, so my rating of a 4 or 5 is on the co-op campaign. If I was to evaluate multiplayer, at least right now, until they fix their glitches, I'd give it a 2. And John probably would give it a flat.
It's terrible.
0. It's terrible, and a lot of people are like,
The Versus isn't worth playing.
this is so much better because it's all human players. But the problem is connectivity. We got kicked out of game after game after game.
This falls because it's.
Go ahead.
This falls because it's non-dedicated servers. It's all hosted, and not everyone. Okay, we know when you go and set your internet connection speed on a game, people tend to bump it up. They're like, "Oh yeah, I got fiber. Hold on, let me dial into AOL real quick," and you're just like, "Sir, it doesn't work that way. Just because you set it in the game that you're running fiber doesn't mean you're pushing that." And
You're only lying
so
to
you
yourself.
got some guy out in Hoboken, Kentucky that has his horse on a giant wheel walking, powering his internet. And that is not going to host a game.
Yeah. So, guys, I need to apologize for the earlier rating that I gave the game. Again, that was based on first impressions, and I did caveat it to say that it should never have been full price. $50 is too much to pay for this game. And this comes from someone who loves Gearbox titles. I mean, let me rephrase that. I really enjoy Borderlands and Borderlands 2. I think I'm actually rocking about 500 plus hours on Borderlands 2. Which, so for me to say that this game really does not have replayability is saying a lot. It's saying a lot.
Well,
I mean,
I'm not done with my list of shit yet.
Oh, sorry, John. Go ahead.
We have, and like you said, the graphics feel like they're from 2004.
Time out. You glitched again. Your face got like. And all of a sudden, glitch. I'm like, so understand that UFO is a kind program, and so please say it again. I'll cut all this out.
Hugs for everyone.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, the graphics feel like they're from 2004. They look like they're from like the original BioShock, like absolute piss. And then they've got really cool things like the rain coming down the screen. That looked really cool. So it looks like they kept everything from 6 years ago, and then they just started to hash new stuff in when they realized it was taking too long. And do you know why it didn't come out? Was it legal reasons, or was it they just felt the game was too shit?
Honestly, I don't know. But I do know that that Gearbox actually, it seemed like Gearbox, from what I can decipher, subcontracted some of the pieces to other companies, and I don't know if it was based on whether or not it was Xbox 360 or PC, or if there were elements that they contracted out. I don't really know the details about it, but it seemed like there were like 3 companies that were working on it and that it took 6 years to make, which John and I are very familiar with another game that took 6 years to make and passed through a ton of different developers' names. That game was called Call of Cthulhu, which you'll notice we don't have an ending on the Dermy Comply channel. John, did you want to say why there's no ending?
Because it was a pile of shit.
Okay, so now that you understand why we didn't bother making an ending.
No, I don't think they understand. I would rather take my firstborn son into the woods, kneel down and look him in the eyes, say everything is going to be okay.
There's no way I'm going to be able to keep that footage in there. Did you want to rephrase
Just
that?
bleep it. Just bleep everything out.
I think I was blinded early on, again, by the fact that A, I didn't pay full price, and B, I was having a lot of fun.
There's more.
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
There's 2 boss battles in the game.
I know where you're headed. Go ahead.
3. There's 3. 3.
Smurf, list the 3.
Power loader, the charger, and then the queen.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that first. The power loader, the giant suit that's in the movies that you fight the
So
queen
awesome.
with. You fight like this big alien, I guess.
It's not
like
a queen,
normal
though.
alien, but it's bigger. It's not a queen. It's just a big alien. It's he ate his Wheaties when he was a kid. Only one person gets to pilot it. Only one person gets to fight him, and that's the last time you ever see it again. Okay, so there's 3 boss battles. I stand corrected. One of them doesn't really count because it's like the robot is stalling the alien while you're doing the other thing. The second one is there's this giant like basset hound bulldozer
alien
that rams on the walls.
Right.
Yeah. And literally, I mean, it's like got this giant headpiece and it's like thick looking and it's like, oh, okay, so you got to run behind it to shoot it or wait for it to run into a wall. And it kind of like splays its legs out and it's like, ugh, my head hurts. And you got to shoot it then. No, you just shoot it. You just keep shooting it until it dies. Like,
there were
zero
no
tactical
tactics.
skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just point your gun in that general direction and shoot at the big scary thing.
When we saw
And then the
creature...
final boss battle.
Okay.
What?
I was about to say, when we first saw that bulldozer alien, I think all 3 of us got excited, like, oh, cool, we'll actually get a decent boss battle, because the first one where Smurf wore the loader armor was really kind of stupid. I think John and I both shot 2 individual aliens, and then the scene was over.
This is what you see when you do the power loader. You have claws, and he goes like this.
So I'm glad you said it was awesome.
And that's it.
Okay, so when we saw this bulldozer alien, we were like, okay, this might be a halfway decent battle. And like John said, no tactics involved whatsoever. And it again, has to be one of the fastest boss battles I've ever fought.
There wasn't other aliens on the ground.
It was maybe 45
2
seconds? Maybe a minute?
What?
Maybe a minute to kill it?
Not even. It was literally, if it had a health bar, the boss battle would have been get the health bar down to 0. That would have been the mission. And then the final boss battle is against the Queen. And
oh man, that was the best fight ever. We all got power loaders with flamethrowers and miniguns.
That's what was supposed to happen.
Yeah, what really happened is one person would run around the loading bay and shoot her to piss her off, and she would come over and try to stick her little tongue mouth at you and swing her tail through whatever little areas she could find, while Smurf walked. Not runs. Walks. To 4 consoles to push buttons. To push a 5th button after you get the queen in the middle of the loading bay, just shoot this projectile pushing tray underneath the queen, who then doesn't move, but it cuts to a cutscene of her hanging outside of the spaceship.
Yeah. So if you guys can imagine,
and then the rest of the game is a cutscene. It's a 15-minute wrap-up in a cutscene.
And I left the ending feeling like I could not recommend this game anymore. Here's where we are at the last button. Queen's here, and there's this thing underneath her that's supposed to shove her out into space. Well, the person who presses the button is the only person who's going to be able to see what happened, which was John, okay? In his video, which we don't have on Fraps, the loader that she's on, the slide, goes right through her and chucks out into space, and she's still standing here. And then the next second,
there's clipping.
You see her holding on to the ledge of the ship, and she claws back up. It just boggles my mind. It boggles my mind how that
Initially,
is the final boss.
We missed.
Yeah.
I thought the hitbox missed, and we had to start over.
And meanwhile, Smurf and my screen were frozen during this time. So John thinks we missed. Smurf and I think we glitched, and we're going to have to reload the game again for time number 3.
And I mean, like, it's a boss battle. It's a queen. How much harder would that have been if she was laying eggs on top of those control boxes, and whenever you walk close, face huggers would jump out at you? Or if she got pissed and she screamed and a bunch of aliens poured out of her chest or something.
And, well, at least out on ultimate badass level, right? Like you want to play that boss battle that we played on Rookie or even Soldier, which is like the barely better than Rookie level. Fine, but once you get to Harden, and especially once you get to Ultimate Badass, that thing should be way more difficult.
We were the only 3 people in the United States playing on Ultimate Badass mode. That makes us the best players in the United States.
The 3 of us were the first 3 to beat Ultimate Badass.
I don't know that this is true because I don't know how bad their matchmaking. Hey, look, but we don't know how bad their matchmaking software is based on how good the gameplay is, right? So we might not be the first, but it definitely felt like the first because as we're hitting that button to search for more players to come join our 3-man team to make it a 4-man team to get into Ultimate Badass, no one available. Across whatever countries and servers are allowed to be in a U.S. game. Not a single one.
Yep. I do have to say, the best part of the game, for me, is when you hit quit game. It pops up with a window that says, game over, man. Was that worth $50 to me? No. I like the Alien movies. It gave me nostalgia. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that in the movie. Yeah, that's cute. Not worth $50.
No. Smurf, will you be purchasing the Aliens Colonial Marines season pass?
No.
Okay, and he was the one who
purchased it. I might get DLC depending on what it is. If it's like, we're introducing another 16 hours of gameplay for $5. Sure, why not? But if it's like, we'll give you another 3 hours for $20. No. Will I buy it on release day? No.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to succumb to anything else until Sega and Gearbox make it clear that they've updated the game for everyone who's played it to improve the alien AI, improve the graphics in the game, introduce more variety of aliens, and I don't even mean that I really need more variety, but the fact that there were like 4 different kinds of aliens, but 2 of them you only saw once. No, you had the bulldozer one, right? You only see him once. You have the spitter, which you see quite often, the regular soldier, which you see quite often, and the lurker, kind of, sort of, you see, I think we saw it maybe 6 times, and someone would go, oh, well, the lurker is supposed to be invisible. You wouldn't see him very often. Trust me when I say, unless
just wasn't there.
literally drops out of his hiding place and walks straight to you in a straight line that you can just aim your gun and fire, and he goes down. If the lurker's stealth mode is only when you can't see him, then maybe. But I would say that overall, I did not feel like there was much variance in the aliens. Definitely not as much as what was kind of discussed about in the video.
3 different types of aliens.
Yeah, to be completely fair, the only types of aliens I thought, other than those bigger ones, was the warrior and the spitters. I didn't even know there was another class. I thought that was only in co-op. Or, I mean, in PvP.
Yeah.
Well, you have the runners, you have the soldiers, and you have the spitters, and then you have the bosses. And the runners and the soldiers, the only difference really between them is that the soldiers took more damage.
And the runners were slightly quicker, maybe. But they still came straight at you.
We killed them by the time they got to us.
Yeah. And it was kind of disappointing that a lot of the gameplay was just you against other Marines as opposed to aliens.
Yeah.
Right?
That was a huge disappointment. Was the number of humans that we had to kill vastly outweighed the number of aliens we had to kill.
Did you care about any of the Marines that were on our team?
No, I wanted most of them to die.
Yeah. Like,
to be completely honest with you.
Like, that was one thing that I think was missing in the James Cameron film. You slowly got invested in at least the final 8 or 9 Marines that were left towards the end of the film. And so when something bad happened, like someone got shot or their leg got messed up, you're like, this is going to be bad. You know, for you to kind of walk up on a NPC who tells you off the bat that a face hugger was on her, but she'll be fine, just kind of made you went, no. I think it would have been a lot better if she had started out with us, and then somewhere in the middle of the game, a face hugger hit her. Because then we would have been like, here's this person who's been really fighting with us. Oh, her AI would have had to been infinitely better. But here's someone who'd been like with us from the get-go, and then a face hugger hit her, and we know she is doomed. But all of a sudden, I'm invested in trying to get this person. If there's a chance that I can get this person free from the embryo growing in her, then I'm going to do it. But to walk in on someone who's like, I got an embryo in me, and I think you guys are bitches, which is pretty much her entire personality through the entire game. John?
Well, as soon as we were introduced to the character, she's like, I woke up in a room, and this thing fell off my face. I'm like, knife the bitch. Get it over with. Like...
Well,
they tried so hard, I think, to make the game appeal to somebody who's never seen an alien movie that they lost their player basis. Like, if you didn't know what a face hugger was, if you didn't know that it laid eggs in your belly, that might have been a huge shocker to you at the end of the game. But anybody who's seen 5 minutes of a video of aliens on YouTube knows that if there's something on your face, you've got a baby in your belly and you're fucked.
Yeah. So, Smurf, I'm sorry. I cut you off. Go ahead and finish your thought.
No. My favorite part was John had a face hugger coming at him. Joe Ray had a runner coming at him, and I had a flamethrower. And it was just logical to save everyone with one bout of this flamethrower and ended up wiping our team.
Yes. Spur created a total party kill.
What happens when a face hugger jumps on you is it's just like an action window pops up. You're on your back, and it says push E, push E, push E. And you have your hands come up and try to, like, push the face hugger off your face. And it starts really close, and I was pushing E really hard, like tapping it, and it was getting further and further away. And then there was just fire everywhere. And your screen, like right here in your vision, just goes all red when you lose all your armor and you're down to 1 bar of life. And As soon as it got that far away, this fire torrent comes on and just red all the way there at the outside, and then my screen goes gray as I just lay back and go,
Dead.
But you know what? I killed
But
the facehugger.
facehugger didn't get you.
It's true. I didn't have a baby in my belly.